accept a motion to enter back into regular session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. This meeting is now in regular session. Next item on the agenda is approved minutes of the closed session on December 9th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is discussion of possible action storm sewer project. City Manager Barker and Coker, he's coming, I'm guessing.
He's coming in, we know Main Street's gonna be done half and half, but right now, because they're coming around the corner, they got the whole Main Street blocked. Do you have any idea on that? 4 days, 3-4 days?
I didn't think Main Street was
It's
being
not
done
half
half and
and
half.
half.
It's gonna
It'll
be
be
done.
block at a
block-
time.
Block by
Block at a
block.
time.
But the whole street
So the
will
whole
be-
street will be closed down
Yeah.
for months,
Yeah.
or sections of it for months.
Might really might have an update on some of this.
Storm sewer. And Main Street project.
Yes. So they closed Main Street down today. They're getting ready to start working on Main Street here probably within the next week. And we are curious about the curbs going down Main Street. If we want to replace them, because they are not part of this project or the revitalization project. And we are needing to know if we want to replace the curbs, because we have to set the grates the correct way.
I think if you're gonna, my
And
opinion
what-
is,
Go
It'll
ahead.
be expensive. What's the condition of our current curbs and grates? I mean, if they start pulling the roadbed out, are they just gonna crumble?
The curbs ain't terrible.
The
I mean, there's
curbs, the
few of
curbs
them
are not that
busted.
bad. The big thing is, we're adding so many inlets with the Main Street storm sewer. It's gonna be a patchwork the whole way.
So, replacing them, I can hear this coming. I mean, it sounds, the thing to do is to put curbs in, but we're kind of already at.
But I think you need
Budget.
to, I mean, if we're gonna resurface Main Street, if
Yeah,
we're
we want nice
revitalizing it, and then you got mismatched curbs going all the way down it,
We
I
need
don't
to do
know.
it right.
it's gonna look really silly,
What does
right?
this
I
add to the
mean,
project?
so, but do we do that now, or do you do it when you pull out the sidewalks? and
That's what I
everything?
was just gonna say, like what, how do you do the sidewalks?
See, that's the problem. It would be great if this was all one project,
Sure would.
but it's not. It's in 3 projects.
Mm-hmm.
When it needs to be done would be a part of the Main Street resurfacing. It would be the first part of the Main Street resurfacing project.
So then, when you get rid of those curbs, those brick are not gonna stay right there. So what do you do?
There would be, that's one of the other problems, because the new sidewalk is not gonna come till a later project. There would have to be either, the bricks have to be removed temporarily and put back in place,
Oh, that's a job.
It is,
Yeah.
but
or taken out and put, crushed stone in that area, behind it.
What is the time frame? I mean, we don't know. We don't know on that downtown. I mean, that could be,
I think what they say, fiscal year 27,
Yeah, April of 2027 was the last time, the last date it could be on the bid letting from the state.
something like that.
But I would assume that's going to probably get extended.
how much will new curbs add to the project?
Probably somewhere 600,000.
To go from like Kitchell to Elliott, that
Yeah.
would be the whole way of the storm sewer.
I believe it should be done if we can afford to pay for it.
Like Main Street resurfacing, what do we look like, 4.2
Yeah.
to go from
As of right now, and we're locked into that. I mean,
130.
I didn't think
that's
so.
130 to 50,
50 and to remove,
that stuff down by 50.
we'll probably have to put some of it back, but do some removal, maybe the first island, remove it, and then the one closer to the highway, put back and maybe try to shrink it so it's not so big.
Who would do the curbs? The company that's doing the resurfacing?
The resurfacing company would probably be the main contractor. Now, whether they would subcontract it out to a concrete,
Okay, so that would be contracted out.
right, but it would be done
business district is running ahead of schedule by about $200,000 a year. So in 3 years, it's
good.
running enough ahead that
And I
it'll pay
agree,
for that.
if we can swing it, it sounds like that we can, that it should be done. Let's make it, let's have a, leave downtown in really nice shape for our grandchildren, you know. And then they have to go through the whole process again.
And then the asphalt would not go to the curb, we would leave the gutter showing like it should be, instead of asphalt over the top of the
So
gutter.
you get better drainage.
Yeah, your curb and gutter would hold more water.
Until they resurface in so many years, and all of a sudden we start adding layers.
They should just mill off.
Hopefully if they mill it off, it would. be
Should,
better.
but you, yeah.
So if that's the way, you know, wanna do it to show the curb of the gutter, there's gonna be a time here where at each inlet, you're gonna see the gutter. And then, you know, until the Main Street resurfacing's done, it's gonna be a patchwork.
And will that pond water there? I mean, it's gonna
No.
be,
No, it shouldn't pond water, it's just gonna,
So it'll just be a
Go-
patchwork.
But I mean, the whole
until-
Main Street's gonna look like kind of
Yeah,
patchwork,
I mean,
right?
it's
I
gonna
mean,
be done.
the-
That's the long term then, I mean,
right. But that would be the way to go, would show, so you can see the gutter eventually the whole way.
So the curb replacement will be from where to where?
Kitchell.
Kitchell to Elliott.
Kitchell to Elliott. And anything on Whittle? Nothing on Whittle.
I would assume we'll have to do some patchwork sometime. They're all pretty good, I think.
York is your horrible curbs.
Where's York?
York is behind.
Is behind the movie theater
North of Main.
all the way. That's the worst,
The only
but
curb
we'll,
that's set up in there will be at the ADA ramps
we
from
will,
the-
yeah,
at the corner.
we'll worry about York another year, another
We
decade.
don't wanna talk about York and ADA.
I don't like putting that. How many rows of bricks do we think pavers would we have to take up to get curbs formed up in there?
But they'll take out a foot behind the curb.
Probably a foot.
that's not terrible then.
Maybe a little, I mean, they're gonna wanna walk all the way back there unless they do a curb machine. I don't know how
No,
they'll do it.
you'd have to have enough room to get a form in.
And some
I'm gonna say
walk
it's at least
back
a foot, yeah.
Is it along those curbs, there's a row that just, they're not the zigzaggy, right? Isn't there a row that's straight? Like I wonder, could we just take up enough of the straight ones to make it big enough to get the form board in there? You're gonna get into the zigzaggy ones too?
I bet they'll want this much behind the
You're
back of
probably
the
gonna
curb.
have to have more room than that.
Cause they'll walk, to form that curb, they'll have to walk on the backside.
But we have the benefit of very wide sidewalks. It won't impair pedestrian traffic even with, they removed 2 or 3 feet there. And bricks are modular. They're meant to be pulled up. You ever been to Europe? That's all they do. They pop them up. They replace all their sidewalks or stones or bricks or, cobbles or something. And it does take labor, but the material's there. You're not purchasing any new material.
So
Sand.
then are we paying to put the bricks back down or we're putting crushed stone back down? That's my question.
To me, that would be a matter of time. If it's gonna be just a
6
few
months,
months,
yeah.
then I think we could probably buy a crushed
What
stone.
is,
If it's gonna be
what
over a
is-
year, then put the bricks back down.
So it's gonna be like 2 years.
It could be 2 years.
And then also, what about those buildings that are on the historical and you're removing that sidewalk that you're not supposed to alter?
This would technically be before
Okay,
that's done. I think we'll be okay there.
okay.
What are we talking about? We're really coming, just asking about curbs?
Yeah, I mean,
The
we have
project's
to
going forward.
that'd be great.
I think we're all in agreement and that we want it all done nicely.
Yeah.
And to the
New
point-
curbs, and it sounds like the business tax, we're gonna be able to,
This
Swing it.
contractor's to the point where they have to know
okay.
for the inlets they're going to reinstall as part of this project, how to put the inlets in the curb.
I'd say replace.
Replace, yeah, let's make it.
I say
let's
replace, do it
while we're
right.
doing it.
If you're gonna do it.
That's why we,
Might be
Added
messy on the short
1%.
term, but in the long term, it'll look better.
yeah,
Oh, it's gonna be a mess for a while.
But it's gonna be a mess for a while anyway.
When you're- You might as well say 4 years before, 4 to 5 years before Main Street's like completely done. Back to normal.
Anything further on that? Is that the only thing you need right now?
That should be it.
I think so.
That's the only really decision we gotta make for them to make their way.
Questions or comments on anything else? On that?
And then they're gonna do block by block, all the way down to what, Elliott?
Mhm.
How long should that take?
July.
They were talking about a block a month at some
They're about
point.
30 days.
So when they're
But they're-
done in July, then the resurfacing will start soon after, or
The resurfacing should start as soon as possible in the spring to catch up with where they're at.
okay, so they're gonna start the resurfacing
Hopefully.
and then,
Their resurfacing is
Just the trench.
just the trenches.
Yeah, not the whole street.
It's a temporary until, so what's, this is 25. so
when,
they're gonna
when's
finish-
like the resurfacing gonna be done?
I would say you're looking like 20, summer of 26.
Summer 26.
So next summer.
And all that curb will have to be done then.
That'd be the same time, yes.
Jeff will give us a summer and spring to get it done. I reckon, though.
Is that already been put out, the bid and everything, or no, that will be put out later this year
It would be one for the resurfacing.
for the resurfacing?
That would be, it could be done late this year, 25. We're sure everything's gonna be done with the storm sewer. And, it would probably be good to get it late 25. I don't think it could be done in 25, but at least the contractor could know if it's scheduled for 26.
And that's all the ADA ramps from one end of town to the other. Every one of them have to be.
We have 44 ADA ramps.
All have to be redone as
all
well.
have to be redone.
Aren't some of those, like, didn't you just put some of those in? No?
We didn't do anything down Main Street.
Oh.
Some of them have been done, but they're not correct.
Okay.
And signals have to be changed out. Do signals have to be changed out too?
There may have to be some
Cross-
pedestrian,
crosswalk.
posts, push
Okay.
buttons changed and some changes, yeah.
We need to add we need to add a loop at Main and East. An advanced loop to make traffic flow better in the mornings. It gets way backed up.
Yeah.
It does.
And we
It
need to get an advanced, we've got our time stretched out so far, it kinda holds the others, but if we can get an advanced loop in there, it'll help us with our traffic, so probably gonna have some new loops down there at Main, but these here are more time signals.
Alright, so stormwater in 25, resurface in 26, and maybe revitalize the downtown 27. 27, 28, it's alright. Give you guys something to do.
Before the next decade,
I think
you
that's
know?
very reasonable time. I mean, this is a big project, I think it's very
It's a
reasonable.
huge
And
project. It's a
it'll be
huge,
50 to
huge project.
75-year,
Yeah.
lifespan.
Maybe we had the bridges.
That's right,
fixed,
you're
but
gonna make it 50, 75 years, it's gonna last.
Yeah.
On
So,
the storm sewer?
On everything.
Oh, should be.
storm, we hope we get
Should
100
be,
out of that.
At least.
With the,
Maybe we can sell back to the state.
Now, tell them we'll make them a good deal.
That's a good idea.
We done with that?
Real quick, the other guy, the big blue trucks doing the relining, how much longer they got? Those guys were back in my house the other night at 10:30 at night working. Those guys are,
They were.
oh yeah.
I've seen them after dark.
Probably not supposed to be working that late.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they got catch up to do with all the snow, but yeah, they were out there late.
Really.
So, but I didn't care. They're nice guys. I mean, I talked to one of the guys for a while. They're nice guys, but
Okay.
how much longer they got?
They probably got a month or 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they probably have more than that because they gotta redo they gotta grout in all the, laterals. They'll come back and do that later.
Before the end of the year.
Have we noticed a difference yet,
I haven't talked to,
Jeff?
Jeff about that.
Anything further for street department, Mr. Bridges? Next item on the agenda, discussion possible facade grant improvement program. We had talked about this back during planning sessions. I wanted to show you this application. We could talk about it at a future date. This is kind of based on some facade grants that they do in other communities. We had talked about it being funded with Love's gambling money. They are in the queue to be approved and should be getting those machines sometime in the next few months. It has been budgeted for, we just haven't had the funds in to fund it yet, but that is coming, so. Just look it over, we can talk about it at the next meeting, so you can get some eyes on it.
So, I have a question,
Shoot.
real quick. So, this form is not been approved yet,
No,
correct?
just the funding. We had handed this out, I think I've handed this out a few times over the years, at our planning and budgeting meetings.
Okay, and I had another question about, is it budgeting 25,000 this year or 20?
What did we put in there?
I feel like I've seen,
Okay, then
Okay.
that probably needs to be changed, cause that was just an early.
Oh, yeah, thank you, because I'm
So, but that's something we can talk about, ideas, things, cause I know there is some interest in it, especially as we get closer to Love's getting their machines up and going, so. Any other business?
Yeah, I have something. Tyler's here, he might be able to chime in if I don't say this right, but, so, a lot of you, or some of you might know that we've kinda had a little committee meeting, myself, Justin Bloomer, fire chief, sheriff, 911, the ambulance service, county board, to discuss the radios in the county. A lot of you know that our radios, the fire can't talk to the police
each
can't
other.
talk to the
Like, how did
sheriff.
that happen?
They all can't talk to each other on the radio. They have to call dispatch is relaying the message. So, the sheriff hires approached me probably a year or so ago. There was a drug bust several years ago with the sheriff and the city police, that the federal government, I guess, gave the county back the drug bust money to use. And it was like $500,000. 911, I believe, is kicking in 300 and some $1,000. So we spent a year looking at different radios, looking at different options, how they can put stuff up in the county, so everybody can flow. I guess even at the sheriff's department, they said there's places in the county they go where they have receivers in their car and they can't bounce off their receivers. So there's areas in the county where if they go, they can't even talk on the radios, which obviously is an issue. So the whole thing is, and this is rough numbers, but for everything, and this would be all new radios for police, for fire, for sheriff, was like 1.1 million. So we have roughly about 800,000 between the drug bust money and the seizure money, I should say, and the 911 board. So there's roughly about 300,000 difference there. Sheriff Hires thinks that through some grants, Chauncey Files and some other grants, they can get 100,000 or so from there. So then the next thing was to go to the county board and the sheriff and the city to say, okay, can each of you maybe kick in 100,000 to kind of come up with that 1.1 number. Some of this, I know the fire department, I talked to Chief Harmon, just bought some radios. Those radios they bought, all the radios that I know Chief Bloomer and Chief Harmon are buying are radios that will be now compatible with this new system. We kind of all know what everybody wants to go to. So every radio they buy, I think he originally stated that he needed like, I don't know, the number 26. Now I think he only needs like 17 because they have been buying new ones. So that actually might cut that $1.1 million cost down because that was, so the ask is, I think the sheriff doesn't want to go for, he can go forward with starting to buy some of this stuff, and buy some of these radios and this kind of stuff because the chunk of the money's there. But he doesn't want to do it because there's still about a $300,000 gap. Again, he's confident, he thinks maybe they can get the whole 300,000 through some grants. I know he was go talk to Congressman Bost about some grants, but now they're worried with the new administration that some of that funding might be cut off. But at the very least, you know, if the city could budget 100,000 for it, and they can get the county to budget 100,000, they're confident they can get 100,000 from at least some of the grant sites to get close to that 1.1 million. And then that, and again, this would be our fire department, our police department, our sheriff's department, 911, ambulance,
When will they need to know?
just whenever. I mean, I know Darren called me the other day because, you know, they're starting to buy these radios. He told me they just bought, he just bought a few more.
Yeah, we bought some in the New York State Association, pitched some money in to help
I think
out.
that's what we kind of voted on earlier, that transfer the money for the radio. So that is cutting down, that's radios that's included in this 1.1 million. But it's also more than that. There's some towers in the county that need to go up. There's some, there's some software at the JEDS or at the dispatch center and things like that. But it should solve the problem once all this together, where all of the, except for maybe the road department stuff, I know we talked about, but most of your emergency management in the county will now be able to talk to each other without having to relay through dispatch and things like that. You know, you can change a channel, fire can talk to sheriff can talk to the police can talk to the fire. And again, most of the majority of the money, about 800,000 of it, is coming from the 911 board or so just think about it. I know we're gonna be talking about the budget
Budget's next week.
next week. But it's, you know, and if not, if the city says no, I mean, again, there's still maybe some grant money out there that we can try to get. But
Okay, very good. Any further business to be had?
questions on that? Does anybody,
Well, I think it's super important. I mean,
Not a
I think
problem
it's
with it.
super important. I mean, if we
without
have
communicating.
to,
I don't think we can not do it.
2001,
to me,
when September 11th
if-
happened, that was part of the issue that they were
Yeah.
gonna fix, and they never got to.
to me, if something else has to be put aside, this is something that's more important than maybe some other things.
so everybody,
right
if we had
now-
to kick in 100,000, would be okay with it?
I mean, right now, to me, that is important, and this huge project that we have going on are like a lot. And I think everybody needs to think about trying to focus on these projects and get these projects completed, because you never know when you're gonna run into more money being needed. Just like, Elliott Street Bridge, was it Elliott that we kept
Yeah.
needing more money for and more money for?
Sidewalks, we will need more money. I mean, that's just the way it's
Yeah.
gonna
And
be.
with that,
Well, it's too far in advance. I mean, 3 years, 4 years, we're talking. I mean, it's not gonna come in the exact numbers that we have in our heads right now,
And
so.
with that, our fire department and police department will have all new radios, so then hopefully that will last for a little while. We won't have to buy new ones for a while, and they can just get on some type of maintenance schedule to replace them a couple a year or whatever, but.
Very good.
I do have a
Yes.
couple more things.
No, sorry about that.
So
We've
the-
spent all the money we have, Jane, no more.
I'm sending a costume. The Capitol Review meeting will be January 27th from 4 to 6 here at City Hall. It'll be right before the next council meeting. And then we have a farmer who farms about 20 acres out by the Walmart DC. He called me last spring because he had a problem with geese and they were eating up the crops and he had to replant them and he wanted to know what he could do. He'd contacted the IDNR and they told him he could shoot so many of them,
Shoot 'em.
but he
Well,
couldn't,
geese take care of
he didn't
geese.
think he could, what they told him he could shoot, he said wouldn't make a dent in it. But he did have somebody from Newton then contact him. He called me again a couple weeks ago. And he had somebody from Newton contact him that wanted to hunt there. And he told him they could, but then he got to wondering maybe he shouldn't have because it's city property. So I talked to Bart and I've talked to Kelsey, who's talked to our insurance people. And right now, we have an ordinance in place where you cannot hunt on city property except for the lake. The insurance company advised us that it would be best if we did not do that. So we have stopped them from hunting on it right now. It's up to you if you're okay with that. We're just gonna leave it like that. If that's the way you wanna continue, we will have Bart put it in the farmer's agreement that he's going to update, that there's no hunting on city property. But if you wanna change it, then we'll have to
Is that the
have an
piece
ordinance.
North of the Benton site? On
I
the-
couldn't picture it, it was
It is,
on blank.
it's the front there by,
Oh, so it's right around the house.
there is somebody that lives somewhere
on the
there.
front end.
Because they're the ones that told the people at Newton about hunting, so
Oh,
they
so
was
they don't
okay
care.
with it. They
As
do
long
not
as they
care.
don't care. I mean, those geese are a nuisance.
Well, I mean, I think the bigger priority is that our insurance company does care.
Oh, well, they said it would be best not to. They didn't say, I mean, what's going to happen though?
Well, so Kelsey, what did she tell you?
Yeah, she underlined, we do not advise allowing this.
Yeah, she's probably from Chicago or Springfield.
Well, she's been in the insurance
From their
industry
view,
for
yeah, from their
decades.
view, they're,
Yeah.
of course they're gonna say, no, don't do anything, stay in your home and lock the door. I mean, they're gonna, that's his insurance.
I don't see a lot of upside to it, I mean, letting somebody hunt. But,
Yeah, certainly if you're not gonna clear out the problem, he said, the amount that they're allowed, it won't even make a
Well,
No,
dent.
that's
with
the
what the
difference.
IDNR
Yeah,
told
yeah,
him,
okay.
that's different. I mean,
Yeah,
this
that's a totally
person, I
separate thing.
suppose, can,
Because they told him
How
that
many
he could
wants?
probably shoot as
as
pests.
pests, yeah, without even a hunting license.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
they were snow geese.
They're Canadian. They're local birds. You can only kill 3 a day.
Oh, they're Canadians? Oh, they are.
They're local birds that hang out there at Walmart DC all the time.
Oh, because of their water retention. Yeah, there are a lot of geese out there.
Always something.
They're there, they're not in my
They hang
house.
there at the Plant Lagoon or go out to Burner. When it freezes up, they go out and keep Burner open.
Why do you have geese at your house?
I don't. My father-in-law has them though. Hate them.
Well,
His pond, he gets them all the time.
We might just not have that 20 acres farmed. I can understand why plant it if it's just gonna be eaten up. Can't control the pests. The pests aren't gonna leave if they have a water source there and it's habitat. I mean,
It's a resort for 'em.
yeah.
so you're okay, leave it in the ordinance as it is and following what the insurance company says and Bart putting it in the agreement to not hunt on city property?
Well, there's already an ordinance that says you can't hunt on city property.
Right.
My suggestion was, cause we're kind of actually getting written leases for all these tenants that apparently we've never had written leases for all these tenants. You know, the kind of the standard University of Illinois farm lease addresses whether or not the tenant has the authority to grant permission for people to hunt. I mean, I don't know this guy, but I mean, it seems to be that if you're the tenant on city property, you would know you don't have authority to give someone else permission.
Right.
But I don't know, like I said, I don't know the guy. Clearly he had second thoughts once he had done it,
Yeah.
which is good. So, yeah.
Yeah.
guess the no's have it.
The nose have it.
Any further, do you have anything else? Any further business to be had? I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that